As far as Derek, I think that's a very, very close matchup for me because we're similar height.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So I had to make this separate video about Carlos Thomas Jr. because he was considered the dark horse going into this year's Arnold, his first ever Arnold, his second only pro show since he turned pro. And the reason I'm saying that is because I was actually one of those guys who thought that Carlos is the biggest wildcard in this year's Arnold lineup. But I have got to say there is that famous quote, you need to learn to crawl before you walk. And that just perfectly explains what happened with Carlos Thomas Jr. tonight. So for a guy who did not even place top 2 in a pro show previously, for him to go out on multiple different podcasts saying that he's gonna be so comparable against the likes of the former Miss Olympia, Darren Winsford, one of the favorites to win this show, the biggest threat to Samson Dauda, that was nothing but over-exaggerating and self-hype.
To be standing and compared to Derek is something that I really want to see happen. And I think that I can win a lot of shots against him. Very much respect to him, but like my front double, I have a small waist too.
And he himself thought that he's gonna be extremely competitive against a guy like Derek in every shot, except for the back double biceps. I have got to say, he definitely got a reality check here at the Arnold tonight. And this must have been a very humbling experience for a guy like Carlos. Now, as per the callouts, do you guys know where Carlos is gonna land? So, at his best, he's gonna place 9th. And that's kind of disastrous, considering how far he went, giving all those interviews and all those public statements before the show. Now, don't get me wrong, I am a big fan of this guy. I want him to do a lot better. I want him to live up to his own expectations. And, more importantly, his true potential. But that being said, being confident in your ability, that is one thing. But not being unrealistic about your goals, that is another thing. And you just cannot make this mistake, especially in this day and age of social media, because the people remember everything. And if they're gonna hype you up, they're gonna expect something back. And if you do not live up to the expectations, people are gonna call you out. And that whole social media hype, that also brings you down big time. And just in a blink of an eye.
Would you be shocked to be out of the top 5 or out of the top 4? Would you be shocked?
I don't anticipate. Yeah. I don't anticipate being outside of it. It's not even in my mind. I didn't even think about it.
So there was a clear reason why Carlos wasn't posting any back shots throughout this year's Arnold prep. The conditioning from the back, that just wasn't there. Plus, the overall back development, that is way too behind. Compared to his front, his back is just too shallow right now. And we all know he's still very young, and he has got all the time in the world. But then again, I have got to say, do not expect any significant transformation, any major changes in the back in just 1 year or so. Because at this point, we already know that is a genetically weak area for him. And no matter what he does, it is gonna take a very long time for him to bring up such a weak body part, which by the way is considered a big body part. So are people gonna be disappointed with this showing from Carlos? Well, absolutely. Look, nobody expected him to place top 4. It was only him who made such a blunt statement. In fact, his own words were that he isn't even looking at a lower place than 4th. But people definitely thought that he could have been in the top 6, but that he isn't gonna be as low as 9th. Now, that being said, the man has got that unbelievable size, especially from the front and from the side as well. But the quality, that just isn't there just yet. Plus, he needs to somehow thin that skin to showcase more detail, because all that size, that isn't gonna win him any show if he cannot get peeled enough, if he cannot bring that top level conditioning. Now, I have got to say, sometimes you learn the lesson the hard way. And Carlos comparing himself to Derek, that was the same as Blessing comparing himself to the mutant Nick Walker before the New York Pro. It just did not make any sense, and everyone saw that tonight. So how do you guys rate Carlos's physique and his performance? Now, he's gonna have some tough competition. As James Holling said, he's also doing some shows which Carlos has also committed to.